We're going to be reviewing Joker. Joker was a very controversial pick for a lot of reasons. I want to get right into the core of what people didn't like about this film, and that is the character, the protagonist of the film, Joaquin Phoenix, Arthur Fleck. Now, I enjoyed this movie. I want to make it very clear that it's not a movie I went into absolutely loathing. I didn't watch this and get bored by it. I watched it and I was disappointed with the choices the director was taking. I seem to always have a constant draw to the film, and I think that just goes back to me loving Batman, loving the comics and the characters that DC's come up with over the years. I've watched so many Batman films from when I was a kid, so going into this, I have a lot of expectations, and watching it is always going to be an interesting experience for me because I grew up with these characters. So the choices that are made are not baffling, but they aren't consistent. They're consistent with what the director puts out there, but it's the flawed concept itself that doesn't work, and I think has a lot of other critics not liking where the story goes. So we follow Arthur, who is depressed. He is lonely. He constantly discusses how he doesn't like society, how he feels rejected. So you already have kind of a really just sad sack of a protagonist, and that doesn't do anything to speed up the story. But this film is really just interrupted by these narrative bumps, and each bump is something about his mother is one, him trying to get onto a talk show is another. There are these very small moments inserted throughout this 2 hour film to kind of get this going because it is a really sloggy movie. It's very slow, and not until about an hour and 30 minutes in he actually starts to become the Joker. And by that point, I mean, a lot of time has passed. A lot of exposition's been laid down. We go into a hospital and they have to recite all this information that was really just a pain to have to hear from a third person view. It just didn't feel that well made. It was just very choppily put in there. So those moments in the narrative aren't that great, and they take away from it otherwise being pretty neat, and just it does try to move, but again, it's slowed down by a good 30 minutes of information that could be removed. Another issue with the film is just the fact that it could be beautiful. It is beautiful. It looks great. It's just, again, conceptually flawed. It's a movie that if it didn't focus so much on these negative aspects like the Joker's, the whole thing with his not liking society feels overused and tired. I mean, they say that throughout the film, and then you kind of hammer it home in the last act with violence in the streets, and that's all we've really been wanting to see. So just waiting, 20 minutes or waiting 2 hours, and 20 minutes after this, he becomes a Joker to just see, a car blow up or something. It's really kind of a disappointment. I think that's for anyone. I don't think that's just for me as a fan of the comics and a fan of the stories. I think in general, if you are watching a movie and you're waiting to see this transformation, you want to see something big. You just don't want a small flip of the coin or, a shocking moment, and then you're, whoa, I'm satisfied for the rest of the movie, because that's not how I felt. I felt they could do way more, and they wasted a lot of time just killing time, and I would have loved to see more development of the Joker instead of just him progressing as a sad sack.